Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. Brace yourselves. A major winter storm is predicted to blast through just about the entire nation with snow and sleet in the South and Midwest and temperatures well below freezing in the Northeast. Also, for the first time in its 226-year history, New Orleans will have a Black woman police chief. And Master P and Romeo, what is really going on there? But first, let's bring on Nakia Cooper from the Bayou Beat, and of course, the one and only Oshia Boy. What's going on, ladies?
Good morning,
Hello,
P.
good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, first up, though, efforts are being, speaking of the cold, efforts are being ramped up across the country to combat homelessness. New York and Los Angeles and Chicago, the major cities have major homelessness, unhoused problem. Um, the president, he announced a big thing this week where he wants the federal government agencies to tackle homelessness to the point where they will cut it 25% in 2 years. In New York, Mayor Eric Adams he wants to put those who demonstrate some sort of mental illness that lives on the street into hospitals and other places. The homeless problem it's been this just that, right? A problem forever, and now it's like getting so much worse. Oshia, what can be done about it?
Well, I think we've always looked at it as a problem, first of all, instead of a situation that we should help resolve. Um, to me, I think the issue is the lack of affordable housing. We build homes and condos and sky want to be the Jeffersons, want to live in the sky, and we don't think about the fact that there are a lot of people who cannot afford these homes. You can't even afford the motel that people live in. I mean, if you look at those prices for those cheap motels, they're like $89 per week. That still gets very expensive. I think we need to actually have a real mobilization towards solving this issue. It's not new. I remember when I was a kid, we heard about it. We see it more. We definitely see it more today, where you see people on the street. Where before it used to be kind of a hidden thing that only happened in like New York and LA. But I
Hmm.
live in Indianapolis and I see it every day.
Yeah, and Nakia, Oshia hit on the fact that the cost of living. We talk about inflation. You hear recession and things of that nature, and gas prices. Although they are finally going down, but who knows how long, right? But everything, food, everything is so expensive. Um, what's the solution?
So it's so funny because I never know what I'm going to say or how a topic affects me. And so I never know how open I'll be with something. But homelessness is something that it really hits home for me and for, members of my family. My brother struggled with homelessness and military vet
Mm,
from the Navy. And he chooses, and I use that word very cautiously, to live on the streets a lot.
mhm,
I had a great big brother. He still is a great big brother, right? But something happened one day. He
mhm,
was always the leader of our family. He was always working. We'd always go to him for money. And something happened one day. His
mm,
mental illness.
mhm,
Something caused him to snap. And then all of a sudden, we'd have to go find him. My sister's very good at going out on the streets when we have to find him and say, come on. And it's under, at Herman Park, sometimes under certain bridges, like we know where to go and find him. When my grandmother passed away, she went, she said, come on, hey. Come on, this and that. We know where to go. He's now, the VA has helped him get a home, right? And he's in an apartment, but he still often likes to go back to his friends or his
Mhm.
family
Mhm.
on the
Mhm.
streets.
Mm.
That is something that we keep trying to battle, like said Aaron, you because we don't understand it. So
Right.
that's
Mhm. Mhm.
another thing is he has a
Mhm.
lot of pride and he doesn't like people talking to him a certain way. And a lot of times when you go to get those resources, you have to really ask yourself with the caseworkers, where's the human decency and kindness? Sometimes they
Yeah.
talk to you a little
Mhm.
bit.
Mhm.
Sometimes a lot of people look down on you. Just imagine all of the people who go to the food stamp office, because once upon a time I had to go to the food stamp office and I knew that I never wanted to go again because
Right.
they
Yes.
talk to you so bad. They look at your
Yes.
kids a certain way. They look at you a certain way. And
Hmm.
you're knowing, sister, you barely making ends meet yourself, and you sitting there
Yes.
turning up at me. You making the same. It's just like a bank teller looking at you crazy when your account is in overdrawn, when you know you probably at the same on the same thing with me because I know what you're making out.
Right.
That's the kind
Mhm.
of thing that I
Mhm.
think that we deal with. And then I hate to take this conversation off. I was a homeless teenager. Um,
Mm.
Also, when I was 17 years old, I transferred to three different high schools,
Mm.
just trying to graduate because it always depended on who would let me sleep on their couch at that time. And I was a
Mhm.
straight A student, but a life circumstance happened and I had to hit the road. And
Mm.
it was tough being out there and sleeping in different motels, trying to find a friendly face of someone who might let you sleep on their couch, even if you don't know them.
Mm.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
mm,
Wow. Nakia, so uh, you made a point about mental illness. You made a point about you said something that's I thought interesting. Trying to graduate. You're talking about high school at that time, right? A
high school.
teenager, right? Going to three different high schools. Um, there are so many young ones
Mhm.
that are unhoused. So many
Mhm.
young ones that live on the street as well. And I know that's a problem in New York, it's a problem in Los Angeles. In fact, Karen Bass, the new mayor of Los Angeles, mentioned that when she during her inauguration speech. She talked about how it affects so many people from a wide range. You think of military veterans like your brother, and you
Mhm.
wonder how does a government and people in general what's the first thing people say when they see a vet? Thank you for your service. Well,
Yes.
Yeah,
that's lip service.
cliche. Yeah, lip
Yes.
service.
Yes. It's very much lip service. I've always wondered that. If we really love veterans like we say we do, why are so many having so many issues? Why are so many homeless? We
Yeah.
don't. We just like to talk in this country. We just love to talk because we don't really
Hmm.
care. We like to criminalize homeless as well,
Mhm.
as if it's a crime. Home. How is that a crime? How is some life circumstance happening to you, probably out of your control, a crime, and now you're left unhoused? How is that a crime? We look at
Mhm.
these things as we look at poverty basically as a crime.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
poor, it's criminal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have government workers living in their cars.
Yeah.
It's a problem. You see the people say, well, it's hard to get a mortgage because the interest rates shot way up.
Mhm.
But with the interest rates on mortgages shooting up, what else happened?
Correct.
Rent. You
Yeah.
can't find. You go to New York, you go to Los Angeles. There's and if you're making, even there's a push for $15 an hour minimum wage. If you're making $15 an hour in New York or Los Angeles, I don't know where you're getting a place on $15 an hour.
Mhm.
They make it
Right.
so hard.
I
And,
think another thing, and this is a plea to anyone who's out there because I've been that person. Stop being so quick to push your kids out at 17. Don't
yes.
be so quick. This makes me tear up. Don't be so quick to think that somebody can make it, or because he turned 18 and he graduated, he has to go out and go find a job and make his way. Parents, give your children more time. Give them more time to stay at home because they need to be at home. You can't figure it
Mhm.
out.
Mhm.
You can't figure it out there, no matter how proud you are or anything. It is tough. And I was homeless when the minimum wage was $4.25 an hour. And I remember a person at a daycare, a woman gave me a job, and she was, for $4.50 an hour. I
Mhm.
can tell you all right now, I was a straight A student, and then I became a high school dropout. I dropped out the last 3 months of high school because I couldn't make it anymore.
Wow.
I went
Well,
back and got it. I went back and got my degrees, right? I couldn't make it anymore. I was tired. I was tired of everybody. And somebody
yeah.
offered me a full-time job. And so I did it, and I ran and got my GED the very the same month because I needed to eat. Now I do have that master's degree. Now I do, am a manager at a newsroom, but I take these stories seriously. I did a story where
Mhm.
my sister, because my sister knows the streets because of the way we have to go track down my brother sometimes. A news station I was in, we went and got in a tent with somebody named Mario, and we showed that. And he invited Mayor Sylvester Turner. You come and you be here. You come and see this. And I got out there, and it was trash around there. It was mosquitoes. I mean, there was a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
People, please, if somebody comes to you and they need some help, you notice how we can have a big old house and to stay there by ourselves because we don't want cousin Sue, cousin this, cousin that to come and live. And then if they do come
Mhm.
and live, you automatically say, well, you need to pay me X amount of dollars a month. They don't have it.
Mhm.
If they had
Mhm.
it, they wouldn't be there. Give them some kindness, give them some time because they don't have it. Don't make them feel bad. Don't make them feel bad about opening up the refrigerator. I went through this. I went through it. And I know we got to go to
Mhm.
another subject. But my thing is, anyone that ever comes to stay with me, I always say, oh, don't give me anything. Because guess what? If you give me something, you will never get out of here. So I'm going to give you that time to get on your feet. As long as we all obey the rules of the house. You know what I mean? So
Right.
there's so many different situations.
Mhm.
My
Can I
brother
just
could.
can I just say
Mhm.
Mhm.
I want to
Mhm.
say thank you for sharing your story. First of all,
Yeah.
Thank
thank you
you.
for sharing your story. Um, yeah, I don't want to cry, but when you said stop pushing your children out at 17, 18, that really resonated with me because my sister and I have this conversation a lot about
Yes.
why do we think when a kid turns 18, high school graduate, you're grown now, you're on your own.
Right.
That was a long time ago, if ever. We
And
need to
never
give
with
our
never
kids
with the boys. It take us forever to
no.
mature.
We had to set our kids up for success, and that's not setting them up for success. That's setting them up to fail. That's setting them up to struggle, to keep that generational poverty. All these things, they're not grown. They still have to
Mhm.
figure it out. And what's wrong with giving your kid that cushion to figure it
Oh,
out? This idea. Thank you just for sharing. But we talk about this a lot, and just when my kid turned 18, they out the door. Why?
Right. Why?
why?
Why? Yeah. My girls know that this house or whatever house I'm in is theirs forever. They can stay here till they 50.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to go that far, Stacey. I'm just,
I was gonna say the same
Look,
thing.
that's just
but
me.
if I told my daughter that, she'd just be like, "Okay, mom, I'm just never going to leave."
Yeah, no, we still want to get our Stella Got a Groove back. I want the house to myself, but I just want you to go, preferably when you give me a bachelor's or a master's or whatever it is, a trade school, whatever you do, let me know and let me help you decorate the first apartment. Let me make sure that we, get these things together so that when you
Help you
leave,
get on
you
your
don't have
feet.
to come back. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But
Help you
just
get
give
on
them
your
a safe
yes,
space.
Well, Joni
and help you
King
get on your
writes in
feet.
that she writes in Joni writes in that some people are tired of their children due to lack of discipline. Discipline them,
Well, that's the
shoot.
parents' fault. That's the parents' fault then.
Well, but it's also this environment, right? You hit me, I'm calling the cops.
Oh yeah. Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't know where that happens. I don't know where that
Yeah.
happens.
Mm-mm,
I mean, both of my
mm-mm,
kids, my son knew he could stay until he got settled. It took him a year after college, like many
mhm,
people. My daughter's
mhm.
in college now. She's home now, and I'm like, oh Lord, I've gotten used to not having you in this house. Um, but she knows this is her home. I'm not changing your room. I'm not getting rid of your stuff. You can come back and you can get on your feet. That's very important. If we want to set up our children for success and the next generation to have what we always talk about generational wealth, this is an easy starting point. This is an easy
Yeah.
starting point.
Just
Other
briefly,
races and cultures keep their children at home for very long times. Why do Black people?
we
Why? Well, what's wrong with us?
right. And just real briefly, and this is going to go a little off topic, but along the same veins of keeping your kids at home or allowing them time and that discipline, more so to what Joni King is saying about that discipline. There was a story that broke yesterday. These 8 young, and they were
Oh,
girls
oh,
in
in
Toronto. You
Canada.
saw that story?
Oh,
12
yeah.
years old. I think 3 of them were 12, 3 of them were 13, and a couple of them were 16. They got together. They didn't really know each other. They
You know
met
each other.
where? On social media. And they decided to do this thing called swarming, in which they got together, 8 of them, and
It was
decided to
mhm.
pick a random victim and stab the man to death.
Yeah. Trying to get
And
his alcohol.
right. And so it becomes that discipline part that Joni King wrote in about what's happening at home or what's not happening at home. Is it really social media? Because social media can be really dangerous, especially kids with these idle. If they're idle and they're just on that machine, on that phone, on that whatever, it could be a problem because they didn't
I
know each
think
other, but they
social
knew enough to get together to conspire to do something as brutal as that.
I think social media has become a scapegoat, much like video
Mhm.
games, much like rap music. Everyone wants somebody to blame instead of looking
You
internally. What's going on in your home, what's going on with you as a parent. These children, this kids have done these kind of things forever. We just now have more access to, we know about it quicker thanks to the internet. They were able to find their community, if you will, thanks to
Mhm.
social media. um and the influence, I mean, these peers could have been influenced by their own peers in their own school at some point. You don't know what triggers. That's just wild, though. That is just wild that
Yeah,
they would just.
and the
But
time
this is
too.
not this is
Nick,
not
it
the
was
first time that girls have been known to be violent in a
yeah,
gang either.
and these are young girls, and it was midnight when this happened.
hmm
Why are they out at midnight?
Right,
Exactly.
right. Unreal. Goodness
Yeah.
grief.
I think that a part of it, I hate to say it, a lot of it goes back to punk ass parenting. That's what they have to say. You will not. See, because I now, mind you, I do say I'm gonna keep you here. See, I'm gonna switch up on you. The tears are gone. I will keep you here as long as necessary, and as long as we got this thing going on. But from Jump Street, and see, I'm very protective of mine, and I don't mind letting them know. My children know my story. Like, but I had to wait till it was a certain time, and then I hate to say this, it was like because now they are 16 and 18, and so my daughter has this little saying for me, and she'd be like, "Okay, Mama." She called me Trauma Mama, right? Because every time I tell her something, she'll say, "Mama, it's not like that, Mama." This, and I'd be like, "Did somebody do this and that? Did a man tickle you? Like if the nasty uncle that tickle you and he touching you somewhere else, we are gonna leave that alone." But I'm always the kind that's like, asking them the questions, making sure that I'm there. So a lot of people, it goes back when you have these children with this pack mentality all the times with those girls, and this the whole thing of gangs and all of that kind of stuff. A lot of times it starts right there early, and that those children develop a certain behavior. Before they're 5 years old, by the time they're 3 years old, it's a lot of the things
Mhm,
about we have to be held accountable for what we do as parents. And once
mhm,
we lose control, or once we see we're losing that grip, bring in someone else. When
Mhm.
mhm.
my children's father died during the pandemic, and I knew I have this coming of age son. He's 16. She's 14 at the time. We are, I don't know the world of sports. I got him, he's playing basketball. There's still so many things that I just was like, oh wow. He doesn't, there were so many things that I just felt like his daddy didn't get a chance to get to, maybe, or how was I going to carry the torch? You know what I did? I went to a village of black men. I'm telling you,
Mm,
we did when we were doing the therapy and stuff. I'm sorry. I'm one of those types of, hey, I'm sorry, sister, you look good and fine and all that, but you're a Mexican woman or a Hispanic woman. That's not what we need in our life. I need a black man. I will tell you straight to your face. This is what I believe that we need in our life right now. I had to
Mhm.
surround him. I actually had to find, and I mean, we had no less than 10 mentors who I worried the
Mhm.
crap out of, the different coaches, the different things. I just kept on fighting to try to get, my son just to try to shore it up, because I know about a bunch of things. I know what
mhm,
happens when you don't have that parenting, that, when you're,
Mhm.
a lot of it is absentee parenting, and you can be an absentee parent in the house, living and breathing with your child.
Yes.
Because some
yeah.
of us are trying to go back after those glory days of the things that we missed out on. And so we are ignoring our children, right? Your time is past. It's not, but or have your time at a different time. You know what I mean? After you make sure that the kids are in at night, after you make sure that the homework is done, after you do this and that. I know about women who turn their backs on their children for a man. I know
Mm,
about
Yep.
young men who think that their mothers are not there for them. I
mhm,
know these things. It's
yeah.
real, and nobody wants to
Mhm.
say it. Your
Mhm.
girlfriends at the club, they will still have Thursday night happy hour after little Johnny goes to sleep and make sure his grades are right. And
Mhm,
don't be
Mhm.
afraid to put your foot on their neck as they did back in the day. And I'm not saying it like that, but hey, my grandmother got a switch.
yep.
My grandmother got because I needed it sometimes.
Yeah,
Make me pick
absolutely.
out my switch. Now I know a lot of people don't believe in that, but guess what? You call the cops on grandmother, it was gonna be some.
They want to get the switch too.
That's right. Yeah.
Look, y'all, this is an amazing conversation. I hate to even move on, but there
Move.
is it's gonna be cold. Tell me about how y'all handle the cold out there, because this major storm it seems like it's definitely gonna it has already started. It's gonna hit everybody, and if it haven't hit you yet, you getting it. How y'all preparing,
Yes.
Oshia?
Stay in the house. Stay in the house. I postponed my travel plans for a day, so I won't be in the storm driving.
Mhm.
But it's going to be really cold Saturday, which is Christmas Eve, obviously, and I'm going traveling on Christmas Eve. So last year it was nice. I do believe we had a really nice Christmas, um, and then I know a couple years ago we had a really warm Christmas. So I just really want the universe to figure out what we're going to do here. Are we going to? And why must it be around Christmas? Let us have our nice Christmas so we can travel. I don't really need a white Christmas. That's not anything I ever really need to have. So
You
I mean,
arguing with
that's
the
what I'm
weather
going to do.
people?
Just avoid. Yeah, I'm just going to avoid the snow
Well,
and
Nakia,
ice.
more than 90 million people are under winter weather alerts, and
Hmm.
more than 87 million are under wind chill alerts. The alerts stretch across 37 states. What you
Yeah.
doing, Nakia?
So unfortunately, like it's fortunately sometimes, but unfortunately today and all of the time during weather events and everything and natural disasters, I have to go to work, right? So I work in a newsroom, and I'm a manager of a digital department at a Houston television news station. And guess what? We have to be there making sure that you stay safe and stay in. We have a list of one thing, of course, out here in Houston, and I'm pretty sure everywhere we have some warming centers, and I just was reporting on that. And we have our warming centers that are open, and a lot of them are going to start opening up today at 3 p.m. because that's when it's the kind of usher,
Hmm.
coming in for us at that time. And it's just funny because we had to say the caveat of, okay, we got some warming centers, but it's not necessarily a shelter, so there won't be any cots, and won't be any hot food. And I'm hoping that that is going to change, but people can go
Yeah.
there and get a little warmed up and all of that. And you can call 311 to have people to get transportation to those places. It's another thing, I just, because like on nights like this, I pray for our
Hmm.
people who are homeless.
Hmm.
I pray for the kids who are sleeping in homes who have no electricity. I
Hmm.
urge everyone, and I
Thank you.
say this and I fight for this. Anybody out there, please, when you are turning on your space heaters, follow those rules. We just had a deadly house fire this morning. 2 people died because everybody's trying to warm up, right? You're
Mhm.
cutting
Mm-hmm.
on the ovens, you're turning
Mm-hmm.
on the gas,
Yep.
carbon monoxide. Carbon
Mhm.
monoxide, that's a danger. So even as we try to warm up, there are so many dangers out there. A lot of us have not tested those chimneys, when you're doing that. And it's all of these different hazards. Please call your authorities, call your fire departments, ask for tips before you even try to get warm. Like if you before you start doing those things. And it's just shows the crisis that we have out here with people still living in the little row houses that are not central air and heating and all of those different things.
Mhm.
And it's one of those things. So what we're going to do out here for me, or what I do, is I pray a lot. you
There
know
you go.
Pray
Can't
a
go
lot.
wrong.
Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I hope that folks will take your advice on what to do before they uh, act, before they like you
Mm-hmm.
said, open that oven or put the space heater on, because we see it every year. It seems there's too many tragedies
That's
when
right.
it comes to space heaters and things of that nature, and carbon monoxide poison as well. So. Really, really hope people pay attention and listen. This is the next few days is going to be a challenge for so many, as we said, millions of people. So um, we really want everyone to be safe. Listen, so before we go, we got to talk about Master P and
That's another
Romeo.
call out. Oh,
Uh.
It's just so before I throw it to y'all, because y'all gonna make more sense than I do, like y'all always do. But as a father, and I have one son, you look at a situation like that, and it made me think of 50 Cent and his son, and
Oh
which
gosh.
again, I just think that was one of the most preposterous things I'd ever seen from a father's situation. Um, but this situation, Romeo saying, "Oh, he's not the man he portrays himself," and mom was right about you. He's tweeting this at his dad, or at least sending messages on social media at his dad, going at him like that. Um, it is so sad when you see a father and son like this, and I'll let y'all take it from there. And I
who
see the
wants to
black
go
women are
first?
speechless.
Well, no, not speechless. I'm just. I First of all, why is this on social media? Why are we
Mhm.
involved in this?
Right.
This is not our business. Dysfunction, as we can see, it doesn't matter how much money you have. Dysfunction is across the board because
Mm,
obviously they're dysfunctional. They are dysfunctional. To bring this to social media, are you trying to shame your dad, shame
that's
your
right.
son? Do you really want change? I mean, are you trying to really affect change here and you think this is the way to go about it? And if you think this is the
Right.
way to go about it, then that also tells me that you don't know how to communicate, that there's a breakdown in your relationship. And when you said 50 Cent, we talked about Kurt Franklin, Master P, we just have these examples of black men, father son relationships that seem to need repair. Um, so if we're seeing that these are just a microcosm of a situation, I think that happens with a lot of fathers and sons. How many
Hmm.
movies do we watch where the father and son don't connect? Their conversation is not loving, and the sons want love, and the dads can't express love because they weren't giving love in the same way that the sons need love. This to me is just saying there's a bigger problem in our community that we need to address, and we need to address it from a way of not who's right or wrong, but how can we repair this relationship between father and son, because it's an important relationship. It's and it's just really sad to me to see this playing out socially, because now everybody's got their thoughts, everyone has their opinion, everyone thinks
Hmm.
they know. We don't know what the heck is going on. We don't know how much trauma Romeo may have had growing up. We don't know how much trauma Master P had growing up,
Yeah.
and if he passed that trauma down in the way he parented. So many
Mm.
times we parent with trauma, and we don't realize we parent with, and we don't realize that our kids need something different. I will say sometimes I joke around like, okay, these kids today are soft. They just,
Yeah.
we sucked everything up and kept it moving. But was that healthy? And one of the things that kids today are very aware of is their mental health in a way that my generation never was. And I know my parents'
Right.
generation was not. They're very aware of their mental health. And then he's had the death of his sister by suicide. So who knows what's going on there? And he may blame his dad for not caring. I don't know. It's just a mess. Just I'm just
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah. And
I
and
think
Nakia Bio Beat wrote about this. There was you
yeah.
guys had a great column about this.
Thank you. My first say my first sentence is how dare he? How dare you, Lil Romeo, because you're still acting like Lil Romeo, right? What your daddy named you when he brought you into this limelight, of which you are thrusting your father in a negative way. Master P. Now, I'm sorry. I come from the na 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 generation, and Master P can't do no wrong for me. Okay, Master P changed the game out here in the South and gave a lot of people a lot of opportunities, including his children. And
Right.
he took Romeo, Symphony, Tatiana, and all of them, and he made stars out of them. Right? He took them, as he say, famously out of the Calliope projects, and I believe that he already made it before they came along. But he changed generations, right? Regardless of what people did with a lot of people, from No Limits. Some people went to jail. Some people did a lot of things. But he's the reason. Your father is the reason you are on red carpet, sir. Your father is the reason that you are on Growing Up Hip Hop. Your father is the reason that you are an entertainer when he was trying to akin you to being the next Bow Wow, which you weren't at that time. So here you are coming out here talking about your father, about something. Your daddy is hurting just like you are over your sister's death. He is. What father wants to bury their child? What mother wants to bury a child? You have a family who is grieving and in need of counseling. But the thing that we're saying is, Romeo Miller, you are not a child anymore. You are a 30-something-year-old man, and your communication skills need to be better than that. Just as your father said, you are now a father. Put yourself in your father's shoes. And then he's telling people, well, I didn't keep all of my checks from that I made as little Romeo, and my daddy used some stuff to pay off taxes. Well, guess what? It's called families chipping in together, because I bet you've never seen a hungry day. And like they say, the parent takes care of the child, and then later on the child takes care of the parent. Now Master P doesn't need him to take care of him at this time. This is an entrepreneur who's going to keep on doing amazing things, but it's called giving back. You talking about taxes and everything. You have an amazing man. I don't know him personally. Don't you would think I knew Master P. Master P,
Yeah.
holla at me one day. Holla at Miss Nakia Cooper, but still, no, give us an interview. But my thing is this. I just know that a man fought hard, and whether or not he made mistakes along the way, because we all do, is social media the place to bring your father down? Instead of saying, coming to him, we need to talk about some things, right? Because what you did is make a lot of people who once upon a time I thought you were the cutest thing ever, and now I despise Lil Romeo for what he did to his dad. And now a family that still, you're hurting, but you're like they say, now you're going into embarrassing your family,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we recognize mental health, we recognize mental illness, and we do. I know grief more than I want to know grief at this time, but I will be DAMNED if my children think they are going to call me out on social media after all
But you
of
know
the
what? This is not. It's not
heartburn
just
out.
a celebrity thing. It's not. People
Yeah,
use social media to air their parents out on a
it's
regular
called
basis
thumb
or
thugging.
their personal
Thumb
business.
thugging.
I seen. I saw a friend of mine. His child aired him out, and I just couldn't believe it. That is personal. That is private. It's like you're trying to shame the parent. And what it boils down to a lot of times is that the parents have a facade, and the kids want to destroy that facade. And I'm a child of trauma. I have a parent who's filled my life with trauma. So I get the kid side. But there's also a respect thing
Mhm.
that you don't air this publicly. Now, Romeo may not be able to talk to his dad, as you were suggesting. They may not be able to have a conversation because we don't know how their
Exactly.
dynamic is.
Hmm.
Because I know how mine is with my parent that I can't talk to. But I'm not airing my stuff out on social
That's right.
media.
You go to a
And
therapist.
I think it's generation, it's the age thing. I think they just think of social media as, oh, I'm just gonna get up here and type these words out. They have repercussions and consequences. And it's once it's out there, it's out there. It's never gone. You can delete it all you want. Somebody took a screenshot of it. And it's gonna come back
Mm,
50 years from now. It's gonna haunt you,
yeah.
like you said. He's a parent too. So as a parent, how then do you want your children to behave towards you? Do you want your children to do this, even if you feel like you're right and you feel like you're parenting your children better? Do you want them to behave that way? There's a whole lot going on with this airing things out on social media that's just very inappropriate. I think we don't have another venue. Everything doesn't belong on social media. Everything does not belong out there in the public.
No, it does not. And Greer reminds us that, remember that Master P said, "Who's going to take care of the family if you destroy me?" That's a
Hmm.
very powerful statement, because who is going to take care of him? And so, like you said, it should be a one-to-one conversation, a family meeting type situation that's in private, not on social media.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
well, listen, I guess there's probably more to come on that. Want to say We got to say congratulations, y'all, to Captain Michelle Woodfork, a lifelong resident of New Orleans East. She takes over on the head job, the first time in the 26-year history of the New Orleans Police Department, a Black woman will lead the department. So, what a moment for Captain Michelle Woodford, who is now going to be the superintendent of police there in New Orleans. I see Nakia got a smile on her face. It's you know we keep seeing Black women take the lead in so many different things that they continue to be first this, first that. This is fantastic, isn't it?
It is, and it's still sad that we have to not. We're still having to be first. You know,
Yes,
we
I
should,
was
a
just
lot of this is
thinking that.
long overdue. It's long overdue. But sister, you go rock it and get them in line out there, because
Yes,
the women, we have to lead y'all. We got to lead everybody. That's make the world a better place. But no,
yes, we
seriously,
do.
praise and props to her.
Yeah, congratulations. And Nakia Cooper, Bayou Bead, and Ashia Boyd. Ashia, Indianapolis Star, right?
Yes, yes.
See, I got it right. I had to think about that. It took me a half hour to come up with it, though. No, we appreciate you as always. Thank you all for watching Let It Be Known. And if you're homeless, unhoused, there are phone numbers to call. There are places, resources. Please seek them out, and please stay safe during this cold weather. We'll see you
Yes.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.